Derby Wars, racing's biggest contest site, is now even bigger with more than 200 games every day. Check out Survivor, Derby Wars' hottest new game. It's fun, easy to play, and for just $4 you could win $1,000. Just pick a horse to finish first, second, or third and advance to the next race. With daily payouts and games starting every hour, you'll see why fans are racing to play Survivor. Go to DerbyWars.com now, use promo code Survivor to get 5 free Survivor games with your first deposit.
Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the great pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm great, Brian. Long time no see, and no joking, Brian. I think that weekend at Belmont was one of the best weekends of racing, and the most fun that I've had at a big racing event with you in years.
We always have a good time together, Matt. That's just how it is. Belmont Stakes weekend, yeah, we have a lot to talk about, Matt. I left New York yesterday, folks. I'm back in Kentucky here, looking forward to Stephen Foster night. But we want to talk about the Belmont and everything that surrounded the Belmont, Matt. Do you want to start with the Belmont Stakes and the big win, narrow win, by Creator?
Sure, Brian, I would love to. Creator's win certainly continued the trend, excepting American Pharoah, of course, last year. It really continued the trend of skipping the Preakness. The horses that have run in the Preakness and the Derby are up against it, skipping the Preakness, going directly from the Kentucky Derby to the Belmont Stakes. Again, the first two finishers, big prices, nice payoffs in the exacta. The trifecta was huge. So history was kind of repeating itself in the Belmont this year with Creator's win, like I said, except for American Pharoah.
Yeah, well, the reason the prices were so good, of course, Matt, is Exaggerator really didn't have it. Many of us kind of went that way with our wagering money. Not that we thought Exaggerator wasn't the horse to beat on paper, but it's tough. It's tough to run Derby, Preakness, and he had run several good preps before the Derby, Preakness to do all that and then come to the Belmont. Creator was able to do it. As you said, he skipped the Preakness. He had a very tough run in the Derby where he was hit harder than any horse in the race, knocked sideways just before straightening out, lost all chance in the Derby. I don't think he was going to win the Derby. But he won the Belmont, and he did it in thrilling style, Matt. My top pick was Destin, and Destin looked almost home for a while, but Creator just reeled him in as they approached the wire, and it was Creator, who's now only won 2 stakes races, only 3 races lifetime in his 10 lifetime starts. But a horse who's improving, you could throw out the bad trip in the Derby, and he's now thrown his hat in with these Arkansas Derby and Belmont wins. As a horse challenging Nyquist is the leader of the division, but Creator certainly throws his hat into the ring.
Yeah, it makes for an exciting rest of the year with 2 Grade 1s left for restricted to 3-year-old races in the Haskell and the Travers. But Creator got a terrific ride from Irad Ortiz. I think that was a strategic move, changing to the local pilot, changing to the rider who knows Belmont. Came out of the gate slowly, as he is wont to do. Irad immediately moved him to the rail to save ground, coming around the turn. Irad was masterful. Creator never had to lose stride. There was tons of traffic. He looked outside. It wasn't there. He moved inside. An opening happened. He came between horses. Everything worked out perfectly in that trip for the Steve Asmussen trainee. And I give a lot of credit for that to Irad and his ride.
Yeah, it was certainly a heads-up ride, a well-done ride. There were times where Creator could have had traffic, and he never really did have too much. There's also a point in the race where Governor Malibu could have tried to go outside Gettysburg, and he was the horse moving first to the leaders. Creator was behind him at the point. Governor Malibu went to the inside and got shut off hard by Gettysburg on the rail, and then tried to come out, and Creator really beat him to that hole after that. So that really changed the complexion of the race. I think we could have had two different winners if Governor Malibu had gone a different way or if he had gotten through on the rail. And those two different winners are, of course, Destin, who only lost by a nose anyway. So if Creator was slowed down at all, you think Destin could win. But if Governor Malibu punches through right at the top of the stretch, who knows? Maybe he's your Belmont winner. Interesting. Irad Ortiz gets a lot of credit for that ride.
And interesting, Brian, that both of those scenarios that you painted, both of them had a key figure in there, and it was Gettysburg. It was Gettysburg retreating after setting the pace and interfering with Governor Malibu. And it was the whole Gettysburg story that may have cost Destin the race.
He was the pace setter, and Windsor sent him to Asmussen to be the pace setter in the Belmont. Did it cost Destin the race? Maybe, because again, Destin lost by a nose. So anything that made Destin's job tougher in the Belmont, maybe that pace setter did. Maybe it burned Pletcher and Destin. And of course, Pletcher was Gettysburg's trainer before Windsor sent him to Asmussen. Now the horse is in limbo. We're talking about Gettysburg, but he did his job as a pace setter, and he also inadvertently blocked Governor Malibu. So job well done for Windsor Farm using Gettysburg to help the chances of Creator, who is our 2016 Belmont Stakes winner. Matt, 3 different winners of the Triple Crown races. I didn't mind that too much at all. I still think it was an interesting series. And now, like you say, we have an interesting division kind of wide open. Nyquist is the leader, let me make that clear. But if Creator, Exaggerator, maybe some other horses really step up the second half, we could be looking at a very interesting race.
Yep, and Nyquist is certainly the division leader based on his overall record.
Sure. Matt, Creator beating Destin by a nose in the Belmont Stakes will not be the thing that people remember 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, dare I say 20 years from now. What I saw, he happens to be my favorite horse, but what we saw from the Metropolitan Mile, one of my favorite races, 123 editions, we saw a horse win by 14 and a quarter lengths. I don't think that's ever going to happen in the Met Mile again. That's not a race that lends itself to 14-length wins. We saw the fastest Met Mile in 123 years. Of course, I'm talking about Frosted, and that performance in the Met Mile, wowza, Matt, that was something.
It was breathtaking, Brian. Like you said, for a horse to accelerate the way he did and open up that kind of margin the way he did in a race with a big field, talented horses in there, was amazing. And it came up with a 123 Beyer speed figure, which I don't remember anything close to that in recent history.
Yeah, Midnight Loot. Midnight Loot got a 124 going 7 furlongs at Saratoga in the Grade 1 Forgo. Matt, that was 9 years ago. The list is short of 120 buyers in the last 20 years, and Frosted got a 123. He's the highest rated horse in the world, turf, dirt, anywhere in the world by time form. I agree with the numbers. It was that kind of performance. I don't think any horse beats him yesterday. And vindication for a disappointing run in the Dubai World Cup. Frosted, they say, is now going to go to the Met Mile. You'd have to call California Chrome, who is 3 for 3 this year, still the leader of the older male division. But I think this performance, and whether he can duplicate this performance more later this year, moves Frosted up. And I, for one, want to see Frosted in California Chrome Part 2 or Part 3. Beholder, FNX are out there. And of course, California Chrome and Frosted are going to stay on opposite coasts, at least until the Breeders' Cup. But wow, Frosted's race was the best word I can use, Matt. Wow.
Yeah, and I agree with your evaluation of the division. In this week's rankings, I still left California on Chrome on top, but I moved Frosted all the way up to the number 2 spot. Off of that kind of performance, I don't care what his record was before. he deserves to be right up there, just below California Chrome. And I sure hope, Brian, that we get to see them race again at least once more.
Well, he's 2 of 3 this year, Matt, and I didn't have to move him up all the way up because I had him at number 2 anyway on the older male list. Yeah, huge performance in the Met Mile, and I think it's a performance for me as a fan that racing's all about. You know, I was down there on the rail on the track after the race. We visited him that evening as a fan. Just something that I'll take to me with the grave. That's how memorable seeing a horse do something like that, and a horse that I happen to really like. So it was nice.
I got to ask you, Brian.
Yeah.
You know, have you washed that hand since we went to the barn after the Met Mile and you got to meet Frosted?
Got a little slobber. Got a little slobber on me. I have washed it, Matt, but I will. I'll see Frosted again soon, and we'll talk again. Frosted, by the way, folks, after the race, feisty son of a gun. Frosted did not look worn out at all after the race, and he headed to Saratoga the next morning, back up to his training, Green Tree training there, and Whitney, 8 weeks. We'll see Frosted soon. Matt, not the only big performance, far from it. How about the performance of Flintshire, making his first start of 2016 in the Grade 1 Manhattan?
Yes, second highest buyer speed figure of the weekend, a 110 for Flintshire in that race. And I had a feeling going in that we were going to see a terrific performance from him in the Manhattan. I know I said to you shortly before the race, I said, hey, Brian, I think we're going to see another big one in the race. And he sure did. He showed all of his class. No second place performance here for Flintshire. I love what I saw from that. Chad Brown on the turf again. Flintshire.
Tepin has dominated the turf scene in America for about the last 12 months, Matt. She's won a bunch of races. But on the male side, I don't think there can be any doubt right now that Flintshire is the best male turf horse in the United States. What he did on Saturday was just, again, I'll just throw one word out there, Matt, and it's easy. He made it look easy. Turn a foot, explosion home, sprinting home in 21 and change after already running a mile. He's just a big horse. 10 times he's been second now, 10 times in his career. He's run second in so many big races, including the Breeders' Cup Turf, the last 2 runnings of the Arc. But these last 2 races he's run in New York, the Sword Dancer at Saratoga last year, and now he's returned to racing for the Manhattan on Saturday. Wow, he makes it look easy.
He looked like a winner every step of the way in that race.
Ironicus, World Approval, Divisadero, Gran Tito ran their hearts out, but Flintshire, too good. Speaking of too good, Matt, Karina Mia, I think, was decisive in her Acorn win. Now, Karina Mia hadn't won the big race yet, although we long thought that she had the talent to do it. And this one-turn mile turned out really well for Karina Mia with her new running style of coming from off the pace.
Yeah, and we got to see the best of Karina Mia, and you said with the Grade 1 win, of course, we need to remember that was delayed because she didn't qualify to get into the Oaks. We had to wait for that Grade 1 here in the Acorn, and I agree, Brian. The change in running style has been great for her. I don't know. I didn't love the running style from Go Maggie Go in the Acorn, and I know it was successful in her prior start, but in this kind of field, I didn't like seeing her up with the pace setters. It just set it up that much more for Karina Mia.
And of course, Catherine Sophia was the big favorite coming off her Kentucky Oaks win. She was in there off the track. Still looks like a horse with a lot of talent. But Karina Mia swooped by from off the pace and was the best in the Acorn. Songbird, we're going to see come back soon. Saturday, she's scheduled to go. But Karina Mia has thrown her hat in the ring as one of the best young fillies in the nation for sure. Speaking of one of the best fillies in the nation, Matt, we have to include Cavorti now because her recent Ruffian win was certainly validated by what she did on Saturday in the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps against a deep field of older fillies.
Yes, Brian, no question. A deep field, and she just took off down the stretch and opened up and won convincingly, and also an impressive buyer speed figure for cavorting in those Stone Street colors, and another great Grade 1 win for trainer Kieran McLaughlin, who of course is the trainer of Frosted.
Yeah, Kieran McLaughlin had a big weekend. We're going to talk about another one of his fillies, but Frosted cavorting. She was a sprinter not that long ago, and she seems to have, at least at Belmont Park, she seems to have just taken off to these longer one-turn races, a mile and now a mile 16th. Clear win. She won by more than 2 lengths. She looked like a winner the entire stretch. But I think we would be remiss, Matt, if we didn't mention Forever Unbridled, because I watched that replay again. I was watching her as the race was being run, and she really did get shut off on the inside, and then finally had to just sweep by 4 or 5 wide, and she came really running at the end to get second, 2.5 lengths behind cavorting. But again, this could have been a whole different race. Taking nothing away from cavorting, she ran huge, but I think there might have been 2 in there that ran huge had Forever Unbridled found a hole earlier, first asking or even second asking, because she lost a lot of ground and a lot of time in that race.
Yeah, fair enough, Brian.
Sheer Drama Carolina, even Caramba to some extent didn't have a lot in the stretch. Stop Charging Maria really ran an uncharacteristic race for her, a very consistent filly generally. Stop Charging Maria, she's a mare now. I don't know what happened. It seems like she's come back safe and sound, but her run was perplexing to say the least.
Yeah, no question. Like you said, Brian, Stop Charging Maria is always in there battling, but she didn't have anything at the end this time.
Not a thing. All right, Matt, we're going to run down some of these other stakes winners. I don't know how many we saw, maybe 19, 20 stakes within 3 days. Let's start with Saturday, the Grade 1, just a game. Celestine, who's really got a good turf record, but the only time she ran against top turf fillies before she kind of threw in the towel early. This was a groundbreaking performance for her in the just a game.
Yep, Bill Mott trainee, and Mr. Mott's pretty good with turf runners, and she just had a tremendous performance, open length victory, and a 107 buyer speed figure in there, which I think was the 3rd best of the entire weekend.
Yeah, coming from Florida for Bill Mott, and now 2 big wins in a row for Celestine. Like I said, though, she's won a lot of races already on turf. So we might be looking at a burgeoning turf star in that 4-year-old. Tom's Ready, making his first start since the Kentucky Derby, came from last. We were looking for horses to rally in here, Matt. Neither of us landed on Tom's Ready as their top pick. That was a mistake because he was impressive.
It was a mistake, and I thought about it a little bit with Tom's Ready. I think I thought about it more than a little bit, but I passed, and it was another one of those horses taking some time after the Derby and coming up with a big performance. That's a Dallas Stewart, and he has a way of getting horses ready for big performances, and he sure did it there with Tom's Ready.
I have a little history with Tom's Ready back in the barn. A horse who liked to play with me a little during an interview. A nice horse, a horse now that looks good at 7 furlongs, and I think that's what they're going to wait for in the King's Bishop. We had Shaman Ghost, the Queen's Plate winner, win the Brooklyn impressively, Matt. We also had Pure Sensation hold on to give his ownership a 1-2 finish in the Jaipur. Economic Model upset the field. I guess Cupid was the heavy favorite, but Economic Model was the easy goer win. And then that was part of an early daily double for Chad Brown and a horse I really like, a son of Curlin named Connect. Won only an allowance race that day, but I think Connect is a horse that's going to be really, really good down the road. Watch out for Connect, folks. Matt, any other tidbits from Saturday?
It was great to see that 2-mile Belmont Invitational that was won by the former claimer, the Big Haas. It was just fun watching a race for 3 minutes and 17 seconds and watching stuff set up and seeing the Big Haas make his move and win that race. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people talked about it and wrote about it. So it might be nice if we see a little bit more of those. Not just a mile and a quarter. Go ahead and go the 2 miles.
That's right, Matt. I'm with you. 2 miles is fun, and the big hoss made it so. I think he's a horse also that is a threat against the top horses at a mile and a half. So we'll see him in some of the bigger races going forward. But I'm with you. 2 miles was fun. We had some other distance races. Theogony won a long one on the dirt for fillies and mares. Suffused won a long one on the turf on Thursday. It was fun to see these distance races, so it's nice to see Belmont kind of recognize them. And all 3 of those horses won impressively. The Big Hoss, Theogony, and Suffused. We saw some good 2-year-olds, Matt. I'm really liking the 2-year-old filly, Bodie's Dream. First stakes winner for Bodie Meister. She's now 2 for 2 after a big win out here. Then she went to New York and looked impressive in the Astoria.
Yep, out of a Smoke Glacken mare, one of my favorite horses from years back, Smoke Glacken. And that filly actually ran a little bit of a higher buyer speed figure than the boys did in the Tremont.
The Tremont was the next day. Silver Mission, Mission Impossible coming out of the gate. Well, another first-time starter. Silver Mission is also 2 for 2, and he won the Tremont, although the Tremont was slightly decimated by scratches, so it became a 4-horse field. Nonetheless, Silver Mission sure looked good. How about Karina also on Friday, Matt? That's a young filly for Kieran McLaughlin, who had the big Saturday, but Karina looks like a filly. She's another Medaglia d'Oro filly. Rachel Alexandra, Songbird, Karina. I'm not putting her in that class yet, but she looked good in her 3rd lifetime race, winning the Jersey Girl on Friday.
Yep, without question, Brian.
And Joking, Matt, we haven't mentioned Joking. Joking was a nice pick for both of us. The True North was speed laden, although they didn't run that fast. And Joking was just churning down the entire stretch. And finally, he put away Dad's caps late. Joking is a 7-year-old. Charlie Baker, never been better.
It was a classic handicapping race, like you said, Brian. A field filled with front runners. Just let's go find the closer, and Joking came up and got it, and sparked a good afternoon for me.
Yeah, $20,000 claim. It's been over 2 years since they claimed him for $20,000, but he continues to improve at age 7. Nice to see. Who am I leaving off? Zendaya on Thursday, winning her 2nd straight Intercontinental. She looks impressive, and I think she's found her distance at 7 furlongs. That's a Bill Mott trainee. Won a couple stakes on the turf this weekend, Mr. Mott, but he didn't win as much as Chad Brown won. And, of course, in the New York Handicap on Friday, it was Chad Brown with the 1, 2, 3 finish there, Matt. Desita getting the money over 2 of his other horses, including the favorite. Desita, you'll remember last year at Saratoga, ran a big race, first time in America, and this was her first win since. What a weekend, Matt. I enjoyed being with you and watching all these great stakes as much as you did with me. Folks, I hope you enjoyed another edition of HorseCenter. There was a lot to talk about this week. Thank you for joining me, Matt.
It's my pleasure, and you fans that went out to Belmont Park for this Belmont Stakes, no Triple Crown on the line, but what a great day of racing. Folks, make sure you take in one of these days in the future. And as always, thank you, Ember Marr, for producing HorseCenter.
Thank you, Ember Marr. Thank you, Derby Wars, the best contest site in the business, our sponsor. And yeah, I want to say something to the fans as well, Matt. A lot of fans came up to us during the 3 days, our 3 days together at Belmont. And folks, we love it when you do. We love that you watch our show every week, and we also love when you stop by and say hello at the track. That's what it's all about, getting to know new people and having a good time at the races. We will see you next week. We'll be talking more Triple Crown maybe. We'll definitely be talking about the Stephen Foster results from Churchill Downs. See you next week.